Khan, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rokakodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who will well. Salutations to the Akim and the Four Winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel and have come back to the fold through their father. Right? You sisters, you Akwathium, who listen and learn on your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Rum Yahweh up with the lesson. This is a federal appeals court backs Florida school district that blocked transgender students from using boys' bathroom. Oh wow, their whole thing was to fight to be using the girls' bathroom. Now their fight is to use the boys' bathroom too. Wow. Yeah. Babylon, Babal, confusion, right? Let's see what this.
Hey ladies, we are giving out free Dove samples. Just fill out our quick 2-minute survey and we'll ship it.
So gender dysphoria, that's the disparity between one's sex assigned at birth and their gender identity. Now even some children are deciding to transition to the opposite gender, but a growing number of these patients apparently turn out to regret their decision. Fox News medical contributor Dr. Mark Siegel has been looking into the story and is here to explain why. Good morning, doctor.
Morning, Bill. Bill, gender dysphoria, according to the American Psychiatric Association, is the psychological distress that results from a conflict between one's sex at birth and one's gender identity. This dysphoria may lead to a medical intervention.
It was presented both to me and my parents as this is your option to fix things.
Luca Bunny Hine was only 16 years old when she had a double mastectomy and was prescribed cross-sex hormones as part of her transition from female to male. Now, 4 years later, Hine is part of a growing number of young adults who are choosing to detransition. She says she felt pressured by her doctors into medically transitioning in the first place.
Dealing with some of the more underlying issues in depth would have definitely been a better place to start. Seeing that I was clearly a teenager that had mental health issues. I was on psychiatric drugs at the time for depression and anxiety.
The moment you mention trans identity, everything else is forgotten. We're not doing thorough background checks, psychological evaluations. We're not treating suicidality in the way we would normally treat it.
Clinical psychologist Dr. Joseph Burgo says that transition therapy is placed too quickly upon young people without any sort of psychological exploration, and that they are left out in the cold when they decide to detransition.
These kids are put on the fast track and given hormones and all this treatment when they're trans, and when they detrans, there's nothing for them.
A 2021 study from the Institute for Comprehensive Gender Dysphoria Research found that over half of individuals who detransitioned did not receive adequate mental health evaluations before starting their original transition. Laura Becker was 19 years old when she started testosterone treatments before having her breasts removed 7 months later. Now, at 25, she says she regrets the decision to transition.
You're going against your own physiology, and you desperately want it to be a solution.
Becker, who was diagnosed as being autistic as a young child, as well as having a hormonal disorder known as polycystic ovary syndrome, says that her conditions led to what she calls a, quote, more extreme version of adolescence.
I was severely depressed, and it just kept getting more severe as I got older.
There's a lot of ways to relieve pain, mental pain, and we should use that. We should focus on the least invasive first option.
How long should a doctor wait before intervening? What should that intervention be? And how much therapy is required first, Bill? The answers to these questions remain a big debate in the medical community. Bill, Dana?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mark Siegel. Looking at that today. Thank you.
Thanks.
Doc.
This is Deuteronomy 10 and 18. He that doeth execute judgment of the fatherless and the widow, right? Because these people are an authority, right? Dealing with the Rothschilds, the Bilderbergs, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, all the way on down to your so-called regular Joe Schmo president, right? Down to your regular Joe Schmo Congress member or mayor or city council or whatever, man. These people, they supposed to have this so-called power. They're supposed to be over these people, right? And you're supposed to execute judgment, right, for the fatherless, right? Because ultimately there's a disconnect, because as fathers are needed in these homes. Because where's the fathers in this, right? You watch that whole little segment on the news, and there was no fathers. So, and these are Edomites. So the whole fatherless issue goes on and on and on within America. So, you know what I mean? The difference between them and us is it was prophesied that it will happen to us, right? They're just collateral damage to the emotional damage that they had to set up these things to aim it at the perfect, right? To shoot arrows at the perfect, which are you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians. You are meant to be perfect, what? According to the law of the Bible and the faith of Hamashiach Yahushai, and loveth strangers, right? Which those strangers are actually Israelites, and giveth him food and raiment, right? Yeah, so this is Psalms 86:4. Sing unto the power, which is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Sing praises unto his name, right? Exhort him that rideth upon the heavens by his name, Yah, which, right, because we know the letter J is only 400 to 500 years old, so it'll be Yah, which is really Yahweh, right? And rejoice before him, right? Because Yahweh Bashem Yahushai sends forth his son, right? In order to what? Redeem us from our sins. You know, to save us from them that hate us, right? From our enemies. A father of the fatherless. So the Lord said he will be a father. He's a father to the fatherless. And a judge of the widows, right? So these people, these doctors, are taking advantage of these children that's without fathers, right? Whether these are Edomites or not, because, you know, who knows? They could be Israelites, right? So, you know, but they're taking advantage that of these fatherless and the widows, because that's what they look like. You know, it says, and a judge of the widows is power, right? With Yahweh, it's Yahweh in his holy habitation. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai setteth the solitude in families. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains, but the rebellious dwelleth in dry land, right? Because the ICBM missiles are going to hit America, and it's going to be a very dry land. It's going to become a desert, right? So this is Psalms 27:10. When my father and my mother forsake me, right? You know, because these is this time, man. Because it looked like there was no father in the situation. You're watching the news thing tell their story, the journalists or whatever, and I didn't see the father. They were talking about the mother and the child, but never was talking about the father, right? But regardless, when the father's not there, or he left, or whatever happens, and then your mother is the one who's taking you to these so-called doctors and just listening to what these doctors have to say, right, and going along with it, that's like a formal way of forsaking you, right, or dropping you off at somebody's house when you're a young kid and not knowing what's happening, right? Because sometimes it's not an adult that rapes you. It'd be another kid because they've been molested, and then this kid is basically putting the things that happen to them onto you, onto your children, right? So you got to be careful everywhere with your kids, man. But that's like another form of way of forsaking you. Then Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, will take me up. Teach me thy ways, O Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, and lead me in a plain path, right? Because ultimately the Lord ain't dealing with you having what is it, so-called transphobia, transfiguration. Well, I don't know what it's called, but the Lord ain't dealing with that. With, you know, with same-sex, you know, type thing. It's a plain path. There's a man and a woman for every man. There's a man for every woman and a woman for every man, right? And then we know that women outnumber men. So there's 2 or 3 women to a man. 7 women to 1 man, right? So that's just it is what it is. Quit trying to make things opposite of what it really is. You know? But that's the whole thing. That's this being Babylon, all this confusion, right? Because my enemies, right? And ultimately this is all because of the enemy, man. The self-proclaimed so-called white man is the enemy even to his own people, man. That, like I said, that's if those people are actually straight up Edomites. Because some of them could be Jake, you know, Israel, but they could even be Ishmael or whatever they might be. Everybody is collateral damage to Esau Edom, man. He don't give a damn, man. Yeah, this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 30, verse 8. And horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will be willful. Conquer thy child, he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness, right? Because ultimately that's what they're doing. They're considering, oh, well, what about the child's feelings? They're passing laws that the child can say what they want to do with their body, but then at the same time the parent is the ones who are responsible for them to clothe them, feed them, this and this and that, and then the state come take away their child, but then they can't tell the child, no, this is what's going to happen because I'm the parent, right? So there's no more of that. The laws could come in and say this, but then you got these so-called tragic stories that no one's really talking about. They kind of put it out there, but look how they put it out there. Kind of was in the cut. Nobody's really paying attention to that. No one's really talking about it either. So it says, laugh not with him, lest thus have sorrow with him, lest thus gashes thy teeth in the end, right? You're gonna be gritting and grunting like, man, and then you're gonna be feeling like the guilty parent, man, right? You're gonna feel like, I am a guilty parent. I feel so sorry. I don't know what to do. I didn't mean to hurt you. You know, all that nonsense, right? Give him no liberty in his youth. Wink not at the follies. Wink not at the BS, man. You were born a young man. That's what you're gonna be until you grow up or whatever the frick you're gonna do, and you can do that out over there, man. But ultimately, we're gonna teach you the laws, statutes of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. Bow down his neck while he is young, and beat him, right? See, in this society, they're telling you, spare the rod, man. Let the child go without discipline, because ultimately it's going to destroy them. Right? Now they can just do whatever they want to do, and then, hey, come to find out, life has real world consequences, right? The chick got her breast cut off, and now what? Your whole thing was to be like a dude, and now you're sitting in front of your computer with all these girl clothes on. So why didn't you just do that in the first place? See? Makes no sense. Says, yeah, beat him on the sides, yeah, on the backside, beat him and whoop his ass while he is a child, lest he wax stubborn and be disobedient unto thee, and so bring sorrow to thy heart, right? And then you, oh, my little child, oh, my baby, look at what it now, look what these, now you're looking to sue the hospitals or whatever, you know. Chasten thy son and hold him to labor, right? You know, you're supposed to give your children chores and all these different things, lest he lewd behavior be in to offense unto thee. Yeah, so this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 26, verse 10. So, I mean, whether you got a son or a daughter, it's pretty much the same thing. If thy daughter be shameless, keep her in straightly, right? You got to keep her in straightly, lest she abuse herself through overmuch liberty, right? And that's overmuch liberty. Now you're able to give her things. She cut off her breast to so-called and take these testosterone pills to be like trying to make her be a man. You're giving her too much liberty. Let her choose that when she gets older or whatever, and she'll realize either she didn't really need it or she could do it when she gets older, and then there's no one to blame but herself, right? Way too much liberty, man. Watch over an impotent eye, and marvel not if she transgress against thee, right? Because why? Because you wasn't keeping her in straightly. You was allowing her to do whatever she want to do. So are you marveling that now all of a sudden this thing is having adverse effects, right? Because you were doing too much, allowing too many things to happen, allowing these doctors who don't know you, you should ask them, would you allow your kid to do that? They'll probably say, hell no. But I recommend this for you, right? And your child. Hey, man, you got to think, man. You got to be thinking deeper than the things that you idiots go through. Yeah, this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 30, verse 1. He that loveth his son causeth him to often feel the rod, right? To give him an ass whooping, a punishment, right? You tell him, no, you're not a freaking girl. You can't go get a goddamn sex change operation. But then also, you got to be watching, like I said, taking them over other people's house, babysitting, or if you even allow your own family's children over there, they could be fondling your children, trying to change them into something else, and you're wondering like, where this come from my son? Like, I know I raised my son the right way. How the heck is he doing that, man? Because some other person violated him, whether if it was another little kid or an adult. So you can't really trust nobody with your children, man. Ultimately, it says that he may have joy of him in the end, man. Hey, son, can you go spend a night? No. Can somebody come spend a night over here? No. But Dad, I don't get it. Nah. You got to keep them in straightly, man. You got to do things to protect your children, man. He that chasteneth his son shall have joy of him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance, right? Which is his friends. He that teacheth his son grieveth his enemies, right? You keep your son in the right way, you teach him the right way, it's going to grieve your enemy, and now your enemy ain't satisfied with giving your son estrogen pills, or your daughter testosterone pills, cutting off their breasts. This kid is 13, 14 years old. You're cutting off a 13, 14-year-old breast, but then you making R. Kelly the face of the worst thing that could ever happen to a fucking 13-year-old? Man, How are you? How's all these people are not in jail, right? The whole thing with Epstein is swept under the rug because he died and the other lady's in jail. But there was thousands and thousands of other people were involved, and there's probably thousands of more Epstein Islands out there, man. That ain't the only one. You think Epstein Island ain't running? We don't have the power or the money to go over there and check to see what's going on over there. You know what I mean? Who's really, you know what I mean? Look at the things that's happening to these children, man. It's ridiculous. But that's ultimately what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to teach your son, so grieve the enemy, grieve this self-proclaimed so-called white man, man. So you teach him to be a man and masculine. Teach him how to, you know what I mean? One of the brothers started bringing his son to camp, man. His son turned 12. He said, hey, son, you're 12. Hey, you're coming to camp, man. You got to grieve your enemy, man. Call Lord Yahweh Shem Awashai that the brother's doing that, man. And Lord be with him that the youngster grow up and have the spirit and the power of Yahweh Shem Awashai, man. May the Lord rest his his mercy upon him, man. And because before his friends, he shall rejoice of him, man. Though his father die, right? Even if his father's not around, or he dies, or the mom divorces him, because this is the American system. You could just get a divorce for no apparent reason, right? Because some other guy come over and stroke your lady out better than you, or whatever, or he got a little more money than you, whatever. However, these self-absorbed women go through, man. Yet he is as though he were not dead, or even gone dead, or even out of the house. For he has left one behind him that is like himself. See? And that's ultimately what you're supposed to be doing, man. Raising your child up in the way that he should go. Matter of fact, let's get that, man. Yeah, so this is Proverbs 22:5. Thorns and snares, right? Which are traps, man. Which that's ultimately what Esau Edom, the self-proclaimed so-called white man, leaves in this thing through their medical field, through their so-called democracy, through their laws that they pass. It's all snares and traps, thorns, man. It's gonna hurt you. That's all it is, man. They're science falsely so-called. It's just there to hurt you, man. That's it. Or in the way of the forward, right? And the forward nation is someone who's saying a man can be with a man, a woman could be with a woman, and guess what? Hey, little kid, you could be 5, 6, 7 years old, and you could choose whether you want to be trans or not. You could be 13, 14 years old, and you could decide to cut off your breast, right? Now you can see the results. They're regretting it, man. Whether these are straight up Edomites or Jake or whatever nation it is, it ultimately this is aimed at you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, man. It's aimed at you Israelites, man. Right? Whether you accept it, like it, believe it or not, that you're the Israelites, it doesn't matter. You don't have to believe, but you could see, obviously, everything is aimed at to destroy you. And every now and then, these other nations basically fall victim of it too. But the main object of their focus is you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, man. Right? And those are snares and traps. And and this is a forward nation, man. You're gonna fall into those. Yeah, so thorns and snares are in the way of the forward, man. He that keepeth his soul, right? You're keeping yourself away from these things being taught, right? Shall be far from them, right? You're supposed to teach your son, your daughter. If a man lie down with a man, they surely shall be put to death, man. According to the Most High. This is an abomination to the Most High, Yahweh Shem Awashai, right? Train up a child in the way he should go or she should go, right? Whether he or she should go, right? Not he, she, it, thing, that. No. A boy is a boy. A girl is a female. That's it, right? A boy is a young man or a man child. And a woman is a woman child. One day she's going to grow up and be a woman. One day he's going to be a man and a woman is to meet and to be together. And that's it. And that's how you have children, offspring, and you continue, man. Right? One of the first things that the Lord gave as a commandment is to be fruitful and multiply, man. A man with a man cannot be fruitful and multiply. A woman with a woman cannot be fruitful and multiply. So how can you call yourself a God-fearing nation? But let's keep going. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Right? Yeah, so this is, supposed to train up a child in the way he should go. So this is Deuteronomy 23:1. He that is wounded in the stones, right? Where you're, what you call your, your rod, basically. Or his privy member, right? Which is your rod cut off, right? So you get your rod cut off. Or your breast cut off. These are your private parts. These are the things that you're not supposed to be doing. These are things that you're supposed to be trained up in a way that so don't go down this path, man. Shall not enter into the congregation of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Right? Yeah, so this is Leviticus chapter 20, verse 13. If a man also lieth with mankind, as he lieth with womankind, both of them have committed an abomination, right? So ultimately, it's an abomination. It separates you completely from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. The Lord is at disgust, with odds against you, right? So these are things that you should train up a child in a way that they should go, so that the Lord, you're not separated from the power Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. That you're not an abomination unto him, right? They shall surely be put to death, like, see? And this is what the Most High is ultimately wanting for you. Whether if it's now or later. Ultimately, your life is going to end up in what? In death, man. Period. It's going to end up in shambles or something. Right? Now this chick is probably on a daily. Because they already said they was having this so-called depression and all these other things. She's probably thinking every day to kill herself. It's death. Right? It says, they shall surely be put to death. Not their blood shall be upon them. Right? So it's going to be your own. It's going to be your own demise upon your own fault by letting a child go about whatever way they want it to go. Right? Instead of keeping them in straightly, right? Instead of putting your hand upon their neck, so almost basically keeping them in straight, like a horse, that has the I forgot the thing that they put on their eyes, so their eyes are single, man, upon the truth, man, upon men. You're the parent, they're the children. They shouldn't be able to decide, hey, I think I want to be a whatever, and I'm gonna, and the government shouldn't be able to come and say this and that. But then again, you sign your rights away unto the government during birth, technically, though they hold you completely responsible. Everybody's really property of the state, or property of the country, or property of the bankers. Right? But you have to work hard to feed yourself, do this and that. Right? If they own you, they should have to do that. Right? Which they plan on doing that in a way of what is it called? Some type of a global economy. Right? But yeah. Call law, you mean how about Shemel Shai, Bashem Rakakadash, right? Because, the mark of the beast is coming, man. These are things you're hurting your children. You put them in snares and traps and thorns, trusting this science falsely so-called. So, I want to give all praises and honor and all glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakakadash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Citation to the Akim and the Four Winds, preaching the truth of sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever. The hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel, right? Through their father, and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To you sisters, you Akwathiam, who listen and learn on your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. Shalom. Abba Babal.